Hello, LPES. Happy Friday. I am excited to be back with you again for another Friday feeling. And today we're going to be joined by not one, but two special guests who are going to be talking to us a little bit more about Mental Health Awareness Month and explaining their roles to you. I'm going to talk about them in a few minutes, but before I pass it over to them, I want to share with you all a story that I thought was really great for Mental Health Awareness Month and talking about our feelings and emotions. So, like we've been saying for the past 2 weeks, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And when we're talking about our mental health, it's just like we're talking about the health of our physical bodies, except our mental health has to do with our emotions, the things that we're thinking about, the things that are really upsetting us or bothering us, or maybe the things that are making us feel really good. It can go either way. Just like we can be feeling really good in our bodies one day and maybe have a cold the next, mental health can kind of be the same. So the story that I want to read to you today is all about a boy who feels like his emotions are too big. He feels things really strongly and he kind of wants to hide that away from the world. And it's interesting to watch his story unfold and how he's able to make connections that make him feel a bit better. So I hope you enjoy. The Boy with Big, Big Feelings by Brittany Wynn Lee, illustrated by Jacob Suva. The Boy with Big, Big Feelings. There once was a boy with feathery hair and a heart that was bursting with feelings. His emotions seemed bigger than everyone else's, and sometimes that made him go reeling. As we go through these pages, friends, I want you to try and figure out what emotions this boy might be feeling based on the text or based on the illustrations that we see. When playing outside on the yellowest days, a loud truck might rumble on by. And wouldn't you know it, that big heart of his would push feelings right out of his eyes. So if he has feelings coming out of his eyes, what do you think he's feeling? Hope he said sad. At night, when the shadows would form on the walls and fear would steal all of his rest, those feelings of his made it so hard to breathe as they jumped up and down in his chest. How do you think he's feeling if it's nighttime and he's seeing shadows on the walls? Probably feeling kind of afraid, maybe nervous, worried. Sometimes, when his play had come to an end or when things didn't go as he'd planned, the feelings would run down the length of his arms and clench when they got to his hands. I imagine we can all guess if he's clenching his fists, he's probably feeling kind of angry or mad. He felt happy feelings as big as the others, from tickles and hide-and-go-seek, and jokes and races and stories and songs that made feelings glow from his cheeks. So he wasn't only feeling it with those uncomfortable emotions we've been talking about this year, he also felt that his comfortable ones, his ones like happy or excitement, were also so big that they could almost explode. They were so big inside of him. Beautiful things would stick in his brain and not leave him for hours and hours. The fur of a dog, a fluffy white cloud, his mama, a banjo, some flowers. But when someone he loved had a very hard day, he'd feel he'd been over-equipped to feel all their feelings as deeply as they, which would quiver right out of his lip. So, LPES kiddos, we have talked a lot this year about emotions, and one of the words that we use when we talk about other people's emotions is empathy. Can you all say that with me right now? Empathy. Try it one more time, guys. Empathy. So when we're talking about empathy or having empathy for others, it means we can almost feel what they're going through. We could almost put ourselves in their shoes to understand how they're feeling in that moment. That's what's happening in this scene. He sees his mom getting really upset, really stressed out, and he is taking on some of that stress himself. He's starting to feel really sad for her, or starting to feel really sad with her, I should say, because he's taking on some of those emotions. He's being really empathetic. He wondered, Why me? Why this big giant heart in a world that's so heavy and kind, where all of the feelings under the sun feel as they sorry, where all of the feelings under the sun feel as if they were made to be mine. So the boy tried to stuff all his feelings deep down to control what he thought he should hide, afraid that the others would make fun of him if they saw all he felt deep inside. I want you to think back to a few Fridays ago when we had a Friday Feel video where I was blowing up that blue balloon. And we were talking about the things that make us angry or stressed out. And every time we added one of those to the balloon, it got bigger and bigger and bigger until it was so stretched that it could practically pop. Same thing happens when we try and push our emotions down inside, whether they're comfortable emotions or uncomfortable emotions. When we try to shove them down, when we try to ignore them or hide them from other people, sometimes they can almost make us explode. Not in an actual explosion, but in a way that makes us lose our temper or maybe do something that we regret or do something that's going to get us in trouble or hurt another person. So we need to make sure that we still let those emotions out. Let's see how this boy ends up doing that. Would they think he was weak, dramatic, afraid? Would they call him a wimp or a baby? If they saw the big thumping heart in his chest, would they not want to play with him maybe? But while swinging one day, feeling oh so alone, he noticed a girl feeling blue. He marveled, what's that? Could it be? Yes, indeed. Her emotions were extra big too. Are you okay? The boy asked the girl. I'm fine. Just sometimes I get sad. He said, you do? Hey, I get sad too. I get scared and silly and mad. The two became pals who shared their big hearts, not feeling they had to pretend when they needed to cry or to laugh big and loud, since feelings had helped them make friends, had helped make them friends. And soon they noticed there were other big hearts in the classroom, the playground, the bus, and they smiled as they learned that it wasn't just them. Big emotions affect all of us. The boy and his friend slowly felt less alone with the feelings that lived deep inside them. Emotions might feel big and scary sometimes, but that is no reason to hide them. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that story, the boy with big, big feelings. And I think the important thing about it is when we're talking about mental health and we're talking about dealing with those big, uncomfortable emotions, or even comfortable ones, like he was in the story. Sometimes he felt super happy or super excited over things, or he had trouble forgetting about things that made him feel good. You know, he kind of fixated on them. They kept repeating in his mind. The thing that really stuck with me with that story is that it got better when he talked to someone else. It got better when he found a friend who was kind of going through the same thing. Now, unfortunately, we all don't live in an illustration where we can see actual big feelings coming off of the people around us, right? Sometimes we can tell by looking at a person's face if they're feeling happy or sad or frustrated, confused, but we can't always. Unfortunately, or fortunately, sometimes we're really good at hiding our emotions, just like he did in the middle of the book. Now, in order for us to really help one another, it's important that we be honest when we're having conversations with our friends, with our parents, teachers, your school counselor, about what we're feeling inside, about what is making it hard, what is going really well, what might be making you feel upset or frustrated or happy or excited. And the other important thing to remember is that we are not our emotions. Let me say that again. We are not our emotions. A lot of times we say things like, oh, I'm sad or I'm happy, but you're not actually that emotion. You're feeling it or you're experiencing it, but you're not that emotion. It's not your whole person. It's not all of your identity, like we've been talking about, my fourth grade friends. It's not all of our identity. It's just a tiny part of it, and it's just a temporary part of it. It's something that might change as time goes on. Might get better, might get worse some days, might go up and down as time goes. But the important thing is to talk to others about it when it's making you feel stressed, or when it's getting to be too much, or when it's something that you feel like you can't control, or you just need to talk to someone else. I like to tell my students that come and see me individually or in groups that I don't have all the answers. I can't always say something that's going to fix it or make it better. But sometimes just by you telling me something, or you telling a trusted adult or a trusted friend something, it makes you feel less alone in whatever you're going through. It makes you feel less alone in whatever emotion you're experiencing at that time. Now, I want to pass it over to two ladies who work in our school who are really good at listening to those who are having some uncomfortable emotions or big feelings, like in our story. We have coming up in a moment Mrs. Lang and Miss Calandrillo. Sorry, I tripped over my words there. So Mrs. Lang and Miss Calandrillo are two of our school psychologists. Fancy words, right? So we have our school psychologist. Last week we met Mrs. Puri, the 4th grade middle school counselor. You all know me, Mrs. Heffler, our school counselor. And the two ladies that I'm about to pass it to, Miss Lang, Mrs. Lang, and Miss Calandrillo, you're going to learn that they are school psychologists, which are kind of similar to what school counselors do, but also a little bit different. They also help kids with their mental health, making sure that their mental health is doing okay, that they're feeling good and happy and all right, or they're there for them when their mental health maybe isn't feeling so great, and that's good too. So I want to pass it over to them, and they're going to share with you one of their favorite strategies for helping themselves when they're having a tough day. Because just like you have tough days, us grown-ups have tough days too. You're not in it alone just because you're a kid. You're not in it alone just because you go to elementary school. The grown-ups all around you also have to use coping skills to make themselves feel better from time to time. So I'd like to have them take it over now, and I will see all of you next week. So enjoy being with Mrs. Lang and Miss Calandrillo.
Hello, LPS. As Mrs. Heffler mentioned, I'm Miss Calandrillo.
And I'm Mrs. Lang, and we're the school psychologist.
What's a school psychologist, you may ask?
Well, it's very similar to Mrs. Puri, who you met last week, or Mrs. Heffler. If you're having a big emotion, let it be angry, really happy, sad, anxious.
Or if you're having difficult time with your friends or making a decision, or you just really need to talk to someone, we're a safe space that you can always come to.
Another fun part of our job is working with students to see how they learn best. Some of you may have already worked with us, and some of you may work with us in the future.
And for you 4th graders, don't worry, because we also work at LPMS too, so you'll see us there.
Since it's Mental Health Awareness Month, a big part of mental health is finding strategies to help you feel better and how to cope with difficult situations. So we wanted to share a strategy that works for us.
The fancy term is called visualization. Basically, what you're going to do is think of a place in your mind, a place that makes you feel happy, calm, and is special to you.
When you think of this place, you could either think of it in your head or draw it out.
Today, I think we're going to do some drawing so you can see it in action.
It's a very nice picture, Miss Calandrillo. What did you draw?
So when I think of my special place, I think of hiking.
Okay. Now when we're thinking of our special place, it's also best to use all of our senses at once. So what are you feeling? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? Miss Calandrillo, what are 5 things that you can see when you're visualizing your picture?
So when I'm visualizing myself on a hike, I see the trees, I see flowers, I see birds in the sky, I see a stream, and the rocks that I'm walking on.
Cool. What are 4 things that you can hear?
4 things I can hear are the stream trickling in the background, the wind rustling the trees, and I can hear myself taking footsteps on the ground, and I can hear the birds chirping in the air.
What are 3 things that you can feel?
3 things I feel are the sun beating on my skin, the cold water bottle in my hand, the trail beneath my feet.
And 2 things that you can smell.
2 things I can smell is the fresh air that I'm taking in through my lungs and my nose, and the flowers that smell really pretty that are blooming right now.
Nice. And what's one thing that you can taste?
One thing I can taste is the nice cold water.
Nice. So you see, we actually kind of gave you a few different skills. We were able to visualize a picture, take a moment to do that, got all of our senses engaged, and even drawing.
Absolutely.
So hope you had fun getting a little sneak peek into what we do.
And if you see us around in the hallways, please say hi to us.
Have a great Friday.
Happy Friday.